Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady and principal owner of Everett Tax Solutions, where we help you win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, and when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And today I want to talk about Form 7202, which is the credits for sick leave and family leave for certain self-employed individuals. I know, I wish these titles could get just a little bit shorter. But I want to talk about this because it is a fantastic credit for self-employed people, but this is also going to be an auditable item. And I want to talk about that. We already know that the IRS has said that they are going to increase audits on small businesses, especially the Schedule C, about 50% and 51% in the coming years. We know that because there's been so much fraud. Well, with Form 7202, that is going to be an auditable item. It's going to be a part of your return. So I want to talk a little bit about Form 7202 and then how you can prepare yourself for an audit now, okay? I always talk about prepare your return as if you knew you were going to be audited tomorrow. All right, so Form 7202, who may file? This is coming right from the instructions, okay? It says eligible self-employed individuals are entitled to claim qualified sick and family leave equivalent credits. To be eligible, both of the following must be true. Number one, you regularly carried on a trade or business within the meaning of section 1402 of the Internal Revenue Code, okay? And you would have been eligible to receive qualified sick leave wages under the Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act if you had been an employee of an employer other than yourself, or eligible to receive qualified family leave wages under the Emergency Family and Medical Leave Expansion Act if you had been an employee of an employer other than yourself. So essentially, if you had a job, would you have been eligible for these credits? If the answer is yes, then you would be eligible for the Form 7202 credit, okay? Each self-employed individual must file their own 7202. So if you have spouses who are both self-employed, then each spouse has to fill out their own Form 7202. Now, this credit is available from April 1st to December 31st, 2020. And then January 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2021 currently, unless they change something. And we know how that's been happening, right? All right. So there's two parts to the Form 7202. So part one is credit for sick leave for certain self-employed individuals. This is really all about you if you had COVID. All right. And so it says you would be eligible for part one if you were subject to federal, state, and local quarantine isolation orders related to COVID-19. You were advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine due to concerns related to COVID-19, or you were experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and seeking a medical diagnosis. This also applies if you have a child that experienced COVID-19 symptoms. Okay. And then part two is if you could not work because there was no child care or school was closed. So it says that the self-employed individual could not perform their services because the school or place of care is closed or whose child care provider is unavailable for reasons related to COVID-19. So part one is about having the symptoms. Part two is about not being able to work because places are closed. You got to homeschool and all that stuff. And so son or daughter must generally be under the age of 18 or incapable of self-care. So if you have a disabled child, okay, that under 18 years does not apply. Now, if you have both of those, right? If you had where you or your child had COVID-19 or schools were closed because of COVID-19, those days can't overlap. All right. So if you had COVID-19 and then there was a time when the school was closed and you did not have those symptoms anymore, that those days cannot overlap. So you can't double dip on those. I'm hoping I'm explaining that correctly and clearly enough for you. But I also want to talk about being prepared for the audit of the Form 7202. the IRS generally doesn't start auditing returns until about 3 years down the road. So we're talking about at this point, 2024, that they'll probably be auditing 2020 tax returns. Okay. And because we know that small business tax returns are going to increasingly be audited, this is going to be an auditable form as well, this 7202 tax credit. So I encourage you to prepare now with documentation so that if you get audited in 2024, you're not trying to figure out what happened in 2020. Okay. So what does that mean? Go to your local, your state, your local governments, print off those COVID orders where they shut down schools, where they close down businesses, all of those things. Print those orders out, attach them to your tax return. If your child's school was closed and you couldn't work, print that out. You may need to get a letter from your child care provider that, hey, we were closed from this time to this time because of COVID-19 issues. If you do that work now, if you get audited in 2024, then you won't be trying to go back and trying to find all of this documentation now. Do it while it's fresh in your mind. If you prepare this return like you knew where you're going to be audited tomorrow, you would be doing those things. So go ahead and get the documentation ready. Spend the time now while you're filing your 2020 tax returns. Get that documentation together and keep it with your tax return so that, if you get audited, you can just hand over this stuff and not be worried about, not having this documentation ready. Because in an audit, if you can't provide the documentation to substantiate what's on your return, it'll get disallowed, and then you have to pay that money back. And then you're dealing with underpayment penalties and all of that. And that's just not what you want. So do the work now while it's easy versus trying to go back and backtrack, in 2024, when hopefully COVID will be a thing of the past. We hope, right? All right. So I hope that helps you out in doing a little forward thinking and a forward preparation so that you won't have to be scrambling later on down the line. All right. So thank you so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.